It's the first discovery apple of the season. I love it when these are coming to season because they're the best thing. This tree is the oldest on our property, so we're 35 years old. This tree was here well before I was born, and that is a nice, good-looking apple, that, isn't it? That is 10 out of 10. I'll taste that. Crisp, sweet. Discovery apple, by the way. These are one of my favourite apples. They don't store so well, but they definitely taste good. I mean, to be honest, this year it hasn't done as good as the previous years, because we did have a bit of a weird start to the year where we had extremely cloudy, wet weather, and then we had about 3 weeks in June. I was actually away for, unfortunately, where it was actually really dry and hot, and I think a lot of the apples that were setting dropped in that short space of time. So the ones that have been left, although they're growing nice and big and good, like this one here, it's not as abundant as it was in previous years, even though I'm not complaining about the amount we're actually still getting. So this is the path down to the food forest. You can see we've got some nice blackberries, and these are just starting to turn ripe now. And it's interesting to see the difference in ripening based on that tree there. It's causing shade through most of the day, so they're riper here than they are over there, so it's sort of staggering the harvest. But look at these. I mean, talk about the size of a blackberry. You don't really get much bigger and sweeter than that. Blackberry and apple is a good combo. I said this way because I want to see the sheer quantity of blackberries growing in this bush. I've never seen a more abundant blackberry bush in my entire life, and I kind of feel sorry for people who go wild blackberry picking when you can grow them like that. I mean, look at it. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Let's head into hen pen first, because I've got some good stuff going on in here that I've not updated for a long time. I think it's about time I did that. So these are all raspberries. They've actually finished now, and this is a young apple tree, and you can see it's actually got a lot of apples on it. But the main feature here is not only this massive buddleia bush that is just going into flowering now, where all the butterflies go in the heat of the day. Oh, it's amazing to sit down here and just watch the amount of butterflies. I mean, it's covered with bees now, little bees. I see loads of them. There's so many. You can just hear them all buzzing. But that is secondary to the main feature here, which is this Victoria plum tree. Look at the size of this tree, and bear in mind this is only 3.5 years old, and the quantity of plums on here is just absolutely ridiculous. It's not normal to get a tree this big this quick, but that is definitely because of the fact that I've got such healthy soil and healthy foundations that is allowing the tree to just absolutely explode with life. So for anyone who watches the channel and know my hens are just friends, they're not there for food. See, this is quite interesting here. This hen is eating its own egg, and this is really important for the hens to actually do, because they're bred so unnaturally to produce so many eggs. Their natural instinct is to actually eat some of their own eggs back to get the calcium and the nutrients back in themselves. And also they really enjoy the taste, you can see. Enjoying. I won't disturb you too much because I know you're eating. Now let's carry on the tour. Right, so this here is the compost pile. And you might actually see a lot of mango and granadilla shells like that there. This is what I've been eating, granadilla. We had a delivery of exotic fruits this last week. So we've been feasting on some exotic fruits, mangoes, granadilla, dragon fruits. I've never actually had a dragon fruit before this week, and that was absolutely amazing. I made it into a nice smoothie as well. Hydration is where you get your energy from. If I look like I've got a lot of energy, it's because I'm eating a lot of fruit, a lot of structured water, which is in the fruits. This whole fence was covered with tayberries. Another amazing berry if you don't already grow them. I'd really recommend planting them along your fence lines, because they trellis along the fence and they create berry abundance, which I did a video on earlier on my channel. If you want to see that, I show I had over 11 varieties of berries in one handful. I ate them all in one go. Here we've got some red cabbage, radish, that again is going to seed. You can see the seed pods and that. That's what, in fact, I've pulled out this quite amazing this, you'll see this. So one little radish like that produces all them seeds. So you only need a few plants to save tons and tons of seeds from. And saving seeds is extremely important. You definitely want to make sure you have part of your garden allocated to that part of your food forest, because saving seeds is the way you get true food independence. We've got some more Swiss chard there. So, oh, it's so good. Look at that. That. It's dying red inside. You don't really get that from the ones you buy in the supermarket, because they're nowhere near as good as quality as the ones you grow yourself. Well worth the investment in planting fruit trees. Hands down, the best investment you can make. One fruit tree might take a few years to get your first crop, but after that, you've got a lifetime of fruit, and you cannot beat the taste, quality, and nutrition of a ripe fruit that is picked seconds from eating. Anyway, back to it. This is parsnips. These are from the seeds I saved. You can see how healthy and vigorous they look. They're growing really well. And next to loads of beetroots, carrots, and then that is next to another massive raspberry plant. That is yellow raspberries. Again, they finished, but they will have a second crop later in the fall. So we'll have more yellow raspberry to eat later on in the year. This area here is all currant bushes and gooseberry bushes. And then we've got a plum tree over there, which has got loads of plums on it. Again, we're just heading to plum season, so we're going to have even more fruits to have. But basically all these are actually finished now. These are all early varieties. Black currants at the back, which I showed in the previous video. But the whole of the ground again is covered with wood chip, which is so important for the success of everything. I can see how healthy these plants actually look. See there, straight away, take one look and there's a ladybird sat in the plant. Now that is a good sign. You want insects everywhere you look, and you know straight away if you see that from one glance, you've got a healthy system. Heading through here, we've got this, I call it the showstopper bush, massive jostaberry bush. I mean, this had so many jostaberries in this year, and they have such amazing flavour that makes you think you have to be growing them. And behind me again, I've got a massive sea of yellow raspberries. Again, these are just set in the second set. If you look closely, you can see here. See there? Got the second set of yellow raspberries getting ready for later on in the season, and that is after we've already had so many. So that is a really good one to plant if you want year-round abundance. Just brushing past this apple tree. This apple tree, different variety, so slightly later in the season. Red Falstaff, a very good variety. Looking forward to trying them again this year. But you can probably notice a lot of the low-hanging fruit was unfortunately eaten by the deer that have been in the food forest. They came through and thought this is a place I want to hang out in, and then they've got a lot of the low fruit, but it's not too big of a deal. That's the Jerusalem artichokes. They're also an amazing plant. You can see it's covering the fence line. It's a really good privacy barrier, and they also have an amazing crop below them. And you're probably wondering now, what is this? What have I got going on here? I'm actually going to do a full video on it later on in the year, but believe it or not, these are actually purple sweet potato vines. So I'm trying to grow purple sweet potatoes in northwest England. Yeah, I said that. Northwest England purple sweet potatoes outside. I mean, I have got this greenhouse with no lid on, because the glass will definitely stop the wind, will cause a natural windbreak, and it will be warmer inside, and also it will trap some heating, but it will still allow the sun rays, the natural sun rays, to get to the plant leaves unfiltered, which is really important for the healthier plants. I mean, there's stuff showing how tomatoes grown in greenhouses have significantly less lycopene, which is really important for the plant health, and it's actually a really important feature of the tomato that is unfortunately being lost because we're growing through a filter, which is glass. So that's why I've got the lid off these purple sweet potatoes. This again is a nice little wild patch, and you can hear there's actually some crickets around. I want to draw them into the garden as much as possible. And this tree here is a pear tree, conference pear, and we've got few little pears on it. But to be honest, these trees here are just a taste of what is to come down there, because we've got 50 fruit trees planted. But before I show you down there, just turn around, I've got here, this is, looks like a bit of a mess, which it is a little bit, but there's loads of potatoes growing that are just starting to die back, so we'll be ready to harvest soon. But in between all these potatoes, we've got blueberry plants. We've got 9 in total. You can see they're just starting to get ripe now. I've actually been picking these, so there's not, but there you can see nice blueberries. They look nice and healthy. You can see I've not even bothered to net it, and the birds aren't getting them. I've got fresh blueberries. I have a lot of birds in this garden, a lot of wildlife. Like I told you, I had a deer. I've actually got bunnies nesting in there, but I still don't net my blueberry plants, and I still get fresh blueberries. They're so good. It's supposed to be a private moment, this. You fully trust me, don't you? So this is what I don't understand about homesteaders, because we will never eat these hens. We don't even eat the eggs, because the eggs belong to the hen. It's amazing how much of a connection you can actually build with a hen. You know, it's just like any cat or dog. There is, in every single animal, there's a unique personality. There is someone, you know. And that's why we will never eat these hens. They live in our garden with us, and it's just happy, see. You know, we are aspiring homesteaders ourselves. You know, we want to become as food independent as possible, all that. Personally, I don't understand how you could build a trust with an animal like this. Completely trust me. And then to one day just go and brutally cut the head off. You know, after you've been carrying it for so long. It's like the ultimate form of betrayal. I'm all for homesteading and, you know, getting that food independence, but not at the expense of ethics, and you need to find a balance. You deserve better, don't you?